Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are doing good. I decided to do this live stream as I know you guys had thousands of questions of how to interpret egg cleansings. So I figured if you guys ask, or if we do this live, basically, we can get all of those questions out the way. Hello, Amber. Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me or if you guys can see. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to wait for a little bit more of you guys to join so that I can move forward with this interpretation. You guys can hear me? Awesome. I hope you guys are staying safe. I know we are living in crazy times right now. To be completely honest, there's a lot of uncertainties going on. But anyways, where are you guys watching me from? Where are you guys located? I hope you guys are staying safe out there and doing our part to be indoors. Hello, everyone. I cannot understand what you're saying, Nina, but hi, sweetheart. From London. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I know I've been hearing, I have a lot of clients actually in London or different parts of Europe, and it's crazy. I hope you guys are staying in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Chicago, Chi-Town. I have a lot of clients out there too. Texas as well. Inglewood, California. That's where I'm at, California. We are really feeling it. It's been crazy, but Oklahoma, Washington. India. Hello, everyone. Jamaica. I see you guys. Georgia. Kentucky. Hello, my lovelies. Welcome, welcome. You guys, I suggest you guys write down some questions that you may have in regards to the egg interpretations. I will be answering North Carolina. I have a lot of clients out there. I hope you guys are staying safe. I'm going to wait for a little bit more of you guys to join, as I want to do this as a collective to be able to answer all your questions. Does what work, sweetheart? I love you too, Yvette. I love all of you guys. I am just notifying my social medias that we're going live right now. Sometimes it's difficult when you guys comment on my videos because we get so many comments that it's really difficult to answer to everyone. So I figured this would be easier due to the fact that we're currently going through crazy times, very uncertain times. On a personal level, I'm not doing any in-person cleansings at the moment, not just for your safety, but for my safety and my loved one's safety as well, yourself. Ultimately, the reason why I started my channel was to teach you guys. I know a lot of I've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of you through emails, through social medias, that I pretty much put out a lot of information or really go into depth about the explanation of things in the practice. And I think that that's crucial because I don't want to teach you guys to do something and you go into it blindly. More wisdom is more power. So especially when you guys are self-sufficient, throughout my whole life, actually. And I think that the more you know, the better, not only because you can help yourself and protect yourself, but protect your loved ones. Let's see, what are your questions? Sinner. Yes, we're doing good, sweetheart. California has really been experiencing it. Just a couple of days, I had to go out like 5 different places, and it's getting crazy. So yeah, I hope you guys are staying safe. Okay, let's see. Does it work what I'm doing? I'm not sure what you mean by that, sweetheart. What does it mean when the yolk looks cooked? Yes, I'm sure you guys can see actually here. I actually did a cleansing, and we're going to get into that in a bit. I'm just waiting for a little bit more of you guys to join. And you can actually see that it is actually, it looks almost like cooked. We'll get into that in a bit. So I'll answer your question in a bit. Can you still use an egg if left out for more than 24 hours? Yes, ideally, when you do egg cleansings, they have to be room temperature to be able to fully get a good read. So if they've been out, as long as it's room temperature, of course, if it's, it's really hot where you're at or whatnot, then, put them in the refrigerator, take it out for about a couple of hours before you actually do the full sweep. So thank you, because you have helped me improve my I'm glad to hear that, sweetheart. I'm really glad to hear that. No, they do not need to be refrigerated. As long as they're room temperature, we get the most accurate readings with that. An egg cleansing would not suffice, only because they're not there. If you do have like a recent picture within, I would say, no older than 3 days, then I would encourage you to do the cleansing. And in that egg cleansing, if you learn to interpret it correctly, you'll be able to pick up on the reasoning behind that. I hope that gives some type of insight. Let's see. Hello from Houston, Texas. The egg, how do you dispose of it? Ideally, flushing it or sending it out to a stream that is away from you. So the easiest way of doing it is either to flush it down the toilet. I don't necessarily encourage you guys just to toss it out like to the garbage or the trash, only because, it takes a couple of days for people to pick up the trash, and you don't want that type of energy in your home. So flushing would be my advice. It depends the type of black magic that you're talking about, sweetheart. What an egg cleansing does, it will show you. It's a form of being able to see exactly where you're at on a physical, mental, and spiritual level. If there's been hexes or anything like that, something that is extremely dark or what we would consider chaotic type of spell work, then an egg cleansing would definitely show you that. But there's other steps that you need to take depending on the work that has been done on you as well. Depending on how heavy the energy is. So as an example, if it's a hex or something like that, you would go from doing the egg cleansing to being very specific and having to find a black hen, and you would have to get that egg, the first egg that it actually releases. So it's timing, it's planning, it's a lot of things that are involved when trying to remove some type of witchery or some type of black magic. So again, like I said, it just depends the type of work that was done as well. Let me see. I have fresh yard eggs. Can the okay? Can limpias be done to anyone? Absolutely. Yes. When it comes to limpias, even if a person, I've had a lot of clients bring to me like relatives or family members that don't necessarily believe in the practice. And once you do, so basically when it comes to the practice or the craft in any shape, way, or form, easier to influence them because there's no protection there. There's no spiritual connection. And we are spiritual beings. So if the person is rejecting or they are, not accepting any type of spiritual connection, then they are weaker. They are, in the easiest form of explaining it. So there's no protection, there's no resistance there. So people that are believers actually have more of a protection if someone was to do something against you. So when you do a cleansing, can you do it on anyone? Absolutely. We do this a lot to little kids. I myself am Mexican descent. And when kids at a certain age, especially when they're very young, they have this, like they've been experiencing a lot of crying, a lot of like uneasiness, restlessness, not being able to sleep. We are very strong believers. I have clients that bring me their children. They could be very small. They could be from 3 months to 6 months to 7 months, etc. And once you do the egg cleansing, you can actually see what's it affecting them at that point in time. A lot of the times it's what we call mal de ojo or evil eye. When you see a very beautiful, bountiful little kid, we can't help to be like, oh, they're so adorable. But depending on your energy, if you have very strong energy, your, I guess, what's the word? Your adoring them or, saying that they're so adorable or whatnot can actually turn into evil eye because your energy is so strong. And people do it all the time. And sometimes they're not even aware that they're doing that. So yes, it can be done to anyone. Let's see, what is the other? How can I make my gift stronger? It comes and it goes. Your gift in regards to what, sweetheart? I'm just posting on my social medias. A lot of people get upset because some that follow me on Facebook don't follow me on Instagram and vice versa or Snapchat. And then they complain because they're not aware of the free readings that I do provide on Instagram sometimes. So I'm just trying to let everyone know. Give me 1 second. Okay, so you guys can start. You guys can start asking me questions about the limpia before we get into this. All right. So can you clarify that, sweetheart? What's the interval we can do the egg cleansing? I'm not sure what that means. Can you clarify for that, sweetheart? Sorry. Just knowing stuff, seeing people that passed. Oh, okay. So we are all gifted. We all have gifts. Some of us have it more developed than others. So the best way to connect or to embrace your gifts, it starts with listening to your intuition. A lot of the times we have feelings or we have this pull towards something. As an example, you wake up one day and you have this feeling like a specific person comes to mind, and then within the day they reach out or something like that. Listening to your intuition and responding to it only creates a stronger, so you're accepting the gift or the blessing that you have. And by being led with it or being led by it, what you do is you're opening yourself or opening your crown or your third eye chakra. So when you see specific spirits, creating some type of connection, a lot of the times when we're able to see spirits, they are uneasy or restless. And that's the reason why they come to us. They're either trying to communicate, they're trying to send out a message. to a specific person. So communicating with them or asking them to state their name, which is very important when dealing with spirits, and then furthering the communication or asking them what is it exactly that they're needing. You're opening up that portal. Now, I do highly encourage you to learn about protection magic, because sometimes spirits, they could be a bit of deceivers, so they're not necessarily good, and they're just wanting to for you to create or to give them some type of life force by acknowledging that's what you're doing. So again, it's what we call like vampire spirits that suck in your energy, and a lot of the times after making contact, you become very weakened by it, and that's the reasoning behind that. So learning to protect yourself, learning to connect with a specific saint, specific deity, it always brings it brings you a lot of protection, as well as on a spiritual level, and it also anchors you on the physical realm. Okay, so let's get into the questions in regards to the egg cleansings. Can you do one on yourself? Absolutely. Yes, that's the reason why I'm teaching you guys how to do this. You can do this on yourself. You can do it on other people. Now, the thing here is when you're doing it on yourself, it's very important to make sure to cleanse yourself before doing the full sweep. And I'll get into that in a bit, as well as making sure that you are grounding, or that you're that you ground yourself after the cleansing has been done. Like I said, we'll get into that in a bit. Okay, so what else? Let's see. I remember back in the days, our grandmother would have a cleansing with the eggs, would put under the bed, and the morning it crack. Yeah, there's a multitude of ways of doing cleansings, depending on your background, depending on what part of the world you're in. There is, like I said, a multitude of ways. I'm just going to teach you guys the most simplistic, as well as what you can do to protect yourself after the cleansing. How often can you do an egg cleansing? You can do it as often as you would like, ideally. I would do it, me on a personal level, I tend to do it every 3 months, only because I do work with a lot of people in person. So a lot of people that come to me, even with consultations, a lot of people are carrying a lot of burdens. They're carrying a lot of negative energy. Some of them are unknowingly carrying spell work or witchcraft that has been done on them, a chaotic type of spell work. So all of that, I have to make sure that I'm protected as much as possible for the benefit of my client, as well as for my health reasons. So I do it every 3 months, but ideally every 6 months or every 8 months. It's not something that you would have to do like every week or something, which, by the way, I don't encourage you to do that either. Okay. What's my username on Snapchat? My username is, let me go on Snapchat. It's Pinkstar doll. When I did a cleansing for a friend's wife, I felt the thing that was attached to her. What should I do if that happens again? Yeah, see, that's the reason why it's very important to be protected. Make sure to protect yourself. A lot of people carry not only bad juju, not only mal de ojo, but a lot of people, especially if it's people that are like extremely around people that do the practice or stuff like that, that they're very prone to spirits attaching to them. I've had that happen a multitude of times when I do cleansings on clients that are dealing with a very dark voodoo type of magic, where spirits actually jump from them to me, or they linger in my house. At that point in time, we have to do a banishment, which is completely different. But you got to make sure that you're protected before doing any type of work for other people. So it's kind of like making sure that you're good in order to do good, you know? So in regards to that, again, there is, when doing any type of cleansing, it's very important off the bat to make sure you're protected. So connecting with a saint, or working with a saint, or with the deity, or even those of you guys that, you know, just believe in God or in Jesus, making sure to do some prayers, asking him to assist you, or asking the spirits or your saints to assist you and to guide you to create a barrier against any type of spirit, demon, or any bad energy that the client is experiencing, as well as making sure that you have protection jewelry. A lot of us always, like, you'll always see us with necklaces or rings that are that have some type of sigil or some type of protection on it. So again, making sure that you are, ultimately, it comes down to making sure that you're protected before helping other people. It's very important. It's that behind you. Yeah. Usually when that happens, it's very bad spirits that are the lowest vibration, and they always try to intimidate. So they tend to be very confrontational. Hello, pretty blue. Get to see you here. How do you ground yourself? Okay, so when it comes to, let's just say we're going to begin a cleansing. Initially, what you need to do is, again, make sure that you have some type of calling on God, or calling on whoever it is that you believe in. And when you do that, what you do is, we tend to, let me show you. We tend to get, you can have any type of vodka or any type of alcohol. And what we do is we kind of spit it up so it can fall on us. And when that's happening, what you're doing is, again, like I said, so I just do a couple of chants. Immediately you feel their presence. And it doesn't, an example, if you're Catholic or you're Christian and you do that, you will automatically feel a very strong energy around you. And that's just spirit being present, or your spirit guides being present to protect you. Make sure to call on them before doing any cleansing, whether it's on you or on anyone else. When you're done, what you do is you would do a grounding. So a grounding would be either putting the palm of your hands and your feet straight on the floor or on the ground, taking a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. I would say about 10 times, and saying out loud, I ground myself now. I ask my spirit guides to protect me. Any residue energy, any negative or excess negative energy that is currently in my aura field, I send it back into earth, and I ask for transmutation of energy to the highest of my purpose, which means the negative goes into positive. And the reasoning why we ground, or we put our hands, the palm of our hands and our feet straight planted on the ground, is because you're putting all that excess energy back into the earth. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's see. You can contact me at my email or any other social media that I have. My email is theofficial.pinkydoll, and then a dot, and then theofficial.pinkydoll@gmail.com. Okay, let's see. What does it mean when there is a red vein or a red blood spot on the yolk? Okay, so when we see, okay, so let me get into the explanation of this. Okay, so the reason why I have herbs here is because when we do a cleansing, when I do a cleansing, whether it's on clients, family members, or myself, I did this to a family member recently. What we do is we use some type of herbs. It could be rosemary, which is what we consider plantas de olor. So it'd be rosemary. It could be mint, or it could be laurel herbs as well. And what we do is we get the egg and we put these herbs, like a little, I don't know how to say, like arbolito, like in a bunch, I guess that's how you say it. I'm not sure if that makes sense. But anyways, And when I do the cleansing on myself or the protection, and I spray the vodka on myself, I also spray it on the egg and the herbs before starting to sweep the client. So do you need herbs? No, you don't, but the herbs always speak to you as well. As you can see, it's completely herb and into the egg. So we interpret the herbs as well. This kit off the bat, I just did this recently. I want to say a couple of minutes ago before we actually went live, and it's completely like lifeless, you know? We burned this afterwards, but anyways, I just wanted to use this for showing purposes. But what the herbs do out is that they're connected to the air. And a lot of the times when we experience a lot of headaches, when we experience like nausea or like cloudness of mind, it's very difficult for us to concentrate. It usually means that we are carrying a lot of negative energy. So when we use the herbs, when we use the egg, what it's doing, it's that negative energy and it's going into either the herb and the egg, and releasing, basically it's extracting from your mind, body, spirit, and going into physical, the egg and the herb. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Let's see. Okay, so the reason why I got into this rant was because a lot of people experience, and I've seen this a lot with clients when I do a cleansing, that we see a dot in the egg yolk. Now, there's two different ways of interpreting red dots or like a vein-like that is in the color red. If it's inside the egg yolk, then that's an indication that the client or the person that's doing the sweep is currently having a lot of health problems, health issues, and it's a forewarning. So when I say forewarning, it indicates that it's not, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be something like very, what's the word? Very alarming. If it's inside the egg yolk that you see the dot or the red like little vein thread going around it, it just indicates that if you don't take care of that, or if you don't go to a professional, it could progress into something worse. So again, it's almost like giving you a warning, like saying, hey, you know what? Your physical body is currently going or fighting something, and you need to go get checked out to make sure that it doesn't progress or that it doesn't worsen. Now, when we see a dot or red veins outside of the egg yolk, not in the egg yolk, but outside by the water or by the egg white, then that's an indication that your health is currently being affected due to spell work. So it's someone else doing this to you. So again, let me repeat that. If it's in the egg yolk, or you can see the dot, the red dot or the red vein in the egg yolk, that means you need to go to a doctor because your body is currently trying to fight something. And this could be like something with your immune system. This could be something with your blood or blood related issues. But it's nothing alarming. It's nothing to freak out about. It's just an indication that you need to visit the doctor. Now, if it's outside, if you see it by the white, the egg white, or in the water, then that's an indication that your health is currently being impacted because someone else has sent that to you. So it usually indicates spell work that has been done. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's see. I had many spirals like loops in my cleansing. Okay, so as you guys can see here, we have, we were talking about eggs that are like fully almost cooked. So there's like a little, like a veil over the egg yolk. What that indicates to me is that the client is currently feeling stuck. It's currently being surrounded by people that are extremely negative. And it usually represents exactly what it looks like, that you're trapped, that there is a lot of blockages that the client is currently experiencing, that they're having difficulty with being able to progress or being able to move forward. That's what it usually indicates. Now, depending on how high the veil is, As an example, if it's as high as like the middle of the glass, then that's an indication. And even if the egg yolk is almost like flowing at the top, then that's telling you that you're currently being influenced, or your blockages are currently being influenced because of spell work, or someone is currently at that moment doing spell work on you. So when you have a lot of spirals, as an example, like needle likes, that's an indication of, it usually indicates that the client has a lot of people really looking into them. And when you see like little bubbles at the top, that's an indication of a person literally keeping an eye on you. So this could indicate a person that goes and gets their cards read and tries to ask about you or look into your situation. It just depends how many you have. If you have a lot of them, that can also represent that you're currently experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of mental strife that you're going through. And once you're able to see all of this, and all of this goes into the egg when you're interpreting, you could be at ease, because that means that it was extracted from you, or that negative energy was removed from you. Let's see what else. Thanks for doing the live read. You're the best. Oh, you're very welcome, sweetheart. What stones or colors would you recommend for protection? When doing a cleansing, if you're doing a cleansing on yourself, I would highly encourage you to use the red thread bracelets that we use for mal de ojo, for protection. To use anything that is, like I said, that of your belief system, whatever it is that you believe in, having that on you, on your person, will protect you. For us, because we deal with a lot of people, I always carry my sigils, my necklaces. If you guys seen some of my videos where I come out in the video, you can see some of the necklaces. Those are specific sigils that were made for me. And what that does, it's almost, I can go into that in video. So ideally, I would encourage you to have at least a protection bracelet. Colors, white. White is always something that is that of transmutation. So if you're dealing with a lot of negative energies, the white will, what's the word I'm looking for? The white will contrast the bad negative energy, as well as black. So it just depends. If you're doing a cleansing on yourself, then I would use, or I would wear the color black. Black is something that us witches wear very often. That's probably primarily my whole wardrobe. And a lot of people fear witches because they think that we're always wearing black and it's like connected to the devil or something. But black is actually a neutralizer. So when you go to a place, to a public place, I hope you're not at this present time, but if you're going to a private, if you're going to a public place and you're around a lot of people, wearing black is very good, because it neutralizes, almost protects your energy against any other energy. If they're negative energies or anything like that, it's a very protective shield. So again, that's the reason why we wear a lot of black. So if you're working with someone, if you're doing a cleansing for someone, I would ideally wear either black or white, depending. If I don't know the person personally, then I would wear black. If I'm doing a cleansing for myself or a relative or a friend, I always wear white. So let's see. Let's see. Oh, stones. Turquoise. Turquoise, I want to say, is a very strong, powerful stone. It's very, very protective, as well as I've experienced it firsthand, that negative spirits react in a way of very, like if you command or if you stand your ground, they're very quickly to banish. And I really don't know why. I know turquoise. I know the properties it has, and I know that it's a very protective, soothing, uh, stone. But for some reason, when I've been confronted with certain spirits, I've happened to be wearing turquoise. I guess I'll have to ask that to my spirit guides next time. Let's see what else. How do you find out who are your spirit guides? Okay, so when you're wanting to work with your spirit guides, in the beginning, you have to acknowledge them. So I get a lot of people really wanting to know about spirit guides or working with them, but they don't acknowledge them. So it's almost like saying, why is the person outside not coming into my house? Well, if you're not inviting them, they're not going to come in, hopefully, So again, with spirit guides, it's something that you have to acknowledge. You have to connect. You have to acknowledge their presence. You can start as small as lighting them a white candle and speaking out loud or saying, I call upon my spirit guides. I ask that at this point in time, the one that is primarily overlooking me, I ask you to step forward to make some type of contact, whether it be through everyday life or whether it be through dreams. Through dreams is something that is very easy for spirits to connect with us, because only then we're not blocked. There's no expectation there, so it's easier for them to communicate. And little by little, when you acknowledge them and you light them a candle, you'll start to feel their presence. And I want also for you guys to note, we all have different spirit guides. We all have different spirit guides because each spirit guide has a specific purpose. So when you start lighting their candles and you start acknowledging them, only the ones that you're prepared to meet at that point in time are the ones that will step forward. And usually they'll indicate to you when you're progressing, or the more you're learning, or the more you're becoming spiritual. They will prepare you and they will let you know that there's another spirit guide that's going to be stepping in, because now it's their time to, at this point in time where you're at, for you to continue learning. So I hope that makes sense. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is your strongest spirit guide is not going to come forth initially in the beginning. That's only when you're ready, or when you are at a spiritual that they need to teach you more. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so can you what? Can I get your Can I get you an Instagram? Can you get me an Instagram? Can you get me on Instagram? Is that what you're asking me? I'm not sure if that's what you're asking me, but if that's what you're asking, you can find me at pinkydoll on my Instagram. Not sure if that's what you were asking me. Okay, so let's see what else. The egg has fertilized when you see red spots in it. Fertilized? What do you mean? Wendy, I get all of my herbs from a botanical shop that I work with very close with. He's in the city of Fontana. But you can find that online, or you can go to a botanica that is around your home, or around your city. They usually have them, and they come in bunches. In about 15 days, you will have a baby. Hello. What does it mean for when there's a few black specks in the yolk? I think I remember seeing some. It depends how dark they are and how big they are. So if you see like any black spots or any type of like hair or it looks like hair, but it's black, that's an indication of spell work, sweetheart. And I would highly encourage you to do a cutting of cords at that point in time, and don't procrastinate about doing it. Because that's an indication of spell work that has been done, and usually you're able to see the work that has been done on you. Okay. Thank you, sweetheart. Spirals on the top, a bit dark. Yes, absolutely. So I don't encourage you to do it more than 3 times on the same day. So let's say you did it now and it's extremely cloudy. Then I would encourage you to do it once more. If it still comes out as cloudy, or a little bit less, but still pretty heavy cloudiness, then instead of doing an egg cleansing, I encourage you to do them a cutting of cords. Yes, exactly. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Absolutely. Um, I currently work with 4 spirit guides, but initially, when I first started, and I'm talking about, I want to say 16, 17 years ago, um, I was actually working with 2 specific spirit guides that I no longer work with. They've ascended to help others. They're currently not my spirit guides. So it's about, and they were the ones that prepared me and, told me that I would be contacting new spirit guides, that as my spirituality progressed, so did my spirit guides. So I guess everyone has a specific purpose or a specific reason for them to be your spirit guides, depending on your life lessons and what you're currently going through. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, those are angel numbers, sweetheart. And they usually have different meanings behind it. 3 is a very powerful number. 3s is something that I've seen throughout. I need to prepare myself because something major is going to happen, or something on a spiritual level. Wendy, yeah. So he has a shop in Fontana. Um I believe his wife runs that one, and I believe he's going to be opening another one in Rialto as well. You can email me and I can send you his information. Can you clean someone who's at a distance? Absolutely, sweetheart, but you got to make sure to get a picture of them. It must be no older than 3 days. And the reasoning for that has a lot to do with when the person takes a picture, um, a part of their soul is transmitted in that picture. If you wait a little bit longer than 3 days, I find that it's not as effective. What do you do with the remains, the eggshells, water, glass, and you toss it out? Like I said, when it comes to the egg in the water, flush it down the toilet. That's the easiest way, the most convenient way. Depending on the type of energy that you get from the read. As an example, when I do readings for clients and it is very heavy, very dark, almost greenish, that indicates to me that their energy um, has been their aura is greatly affected, and it usually gives a very distinct smell as well. That can also represent spell work, and we're talking about like animal type of spell work. When I see that, I immediately get in my car and go to the creek that is about 15 minutes away from me, and I get rid of the egg in the creek, because I don't want that shit near my home, near me, or anything like that. So let's see. What does it mean when it looks like a cord attached to the egg? It looks wide and a ball, but connected to an egg on one side. So when we see like bridge like or like spikes going up, I had already talked about that initially in the video, but it usually indicates a lot of people looking into what you're doing. And this can also represent people that are around you, like frenemies, people that could be very spiteful. You turn your back and they are speaking bad about you, or they're going out of their way to share your secrets, stuff like that. So when you see that, you can also usually see when you see spikes going up like crazy, right? You can, if you turn it around and really take your time, look a frenemy, a person that you should not trust or you should keep at bay. I always say keep your enemies close, but at, arm's length. Okay, so let's get into the interpretation. All right, so as you guys can see here, I had a lot of questions about this in the previous video. What happens when the egg yolk, when it cuts or it separates, when there's two different egg yolks, or like the egg yolk kind of running, but it's still connected to the original egg yolk. When you see that, that's an indication of your mind and your body, or your body and your spirituality are not connected. When we see that, which is what we have here, you can see the separation of the egg yolk. I'm not sure if the camera's showing it correctly, but that indicates to me that the person that I did the cleansing for is currently experiencing a spiritual awakening. Now, because I know them personally, I know that they're going through that. So if you see this, the way of interpreting the difference of having a spiritual awakening, or something is not aligned in them, you have to understand that when we're doing egg readings, what the egg represents in the water is your physical body. And as you guys know, we are 70% water. So that's the reason why we use water. Now, when the egg falls in the water, consider this your whole or their whole. So if there is not an alignment and there is a separation, as you guys can see here, two egg yolks, that's telling me off the bat that the person is not balanced, that the person is currently experiencing some type of trial in their life where their mind, their body, and their spirit are not connected. Now, this person has been, I want to say, they've had a belief system for a very long time. And based on that, where they're at right now is they are more open-minded. They are more into wanting to learn about the spiritual realm instead of going by what people would consider religion, and kind of like people that hide behind the Bible, if that makes sense. So that's a major transformation. So that's the reason why we have separation. Now, when you see this, this indicates that the person is, again, like I said, currently experiencing some type of major change where their mind and their spirituality are in discord. There's an inner struggle going on with you when you see this. Now, if you see this, and instead of it being at the bottom, it's at the top, like in the middle, that's an indication that your mind, your body, and your spirit are not connected. And it's because there's been witchcraft that is currently influencing or has removed your free will. So that's how you know the difference. When there's a separation, but it's at the middle, or it's kind of like floating, that's letting you know that your free will is currently being influenced because of witchcraft. If it's at the bottom, then this is a discord that you're currently going through, or some type of disbelief, or not wanting to believe, or confused about your belief system. Now, like I mentioned, The egg is a representation of your body. So with that in mind, you have to understand that everything that is showing up is a representation of how you are physically, how you are mentally, and how you are on a spiritual level. So when we look at the egg as an example, it's not just about reading it up here at the top or the sides, but you also have to lift the glass to be able to see it from the bottom. Now, when you see a ladder like or a string of, it looks kind of like a ladder. Sometimes it's just a straight, like going upwards, and you see a lot of like crossing lines. That's an indication of your spinal cord. So that will indicate that you're currently having like difficulty with your back. A lot of the times when I see that, it just means that the person, like, they have a disc, that is they're having issues with, but they're usually aware of that. If you're not aware of it and you see that, it just indicates to be careful, make sure that you're sleeping correctly, or that you're not sleeping in a position where you put a lot of stress in your spinal cord. Now, when you see a heart in any side, usually you can see it when you raise it and you're looking at it from the bottom. If you see a heart, that indicates obviously your heart chakra. If you see a cloud around the heart, then that's an indication that you're currently being influenced, or a lot of blockages that have to do with your love life or your personal life. Sometimes I've seen hearts, and then I see like chains, like a little, like two different chains on each side of the heart. That indicates that you're still like extremely connected to your past, or you're chained literally to your past. And that's the reason why you can't move on, or that's the reason why you have difficulty finding or having a serious or monogamous relationship. Now, when we see little bean likes at the bottom, they usually show up at the bottom of the egg yolk, either on the right or left side. That's an indication of your riñones. How do you say that in English? For those of you guys that speak Spanish, you know how you say riñones in English? Do any of you guys know how you say riñones? Riñones in English. I'm gonna have to look this up. Kidneys. There you go. Thank you, guys. I completely went blank. Anyways, so when you see lips, it's not something to be like, oh my God, I'm gonna die tomorrow. It just means that you need to take care of yourself. So when you see little bean likes at the bottom, and we're talking about the bottom, you guys, on the right or left side, that indicates that you're having kidney issues or kidney difficulties. I would encourage you guys to do, if that was to come out, to do yourself a detox. And you can do that, like, as an example, juicing for 3 days, making sure that you're keeping yourself hydrated so that you can push out all that toxic type of, all the toxic or toxins that you have in your body to cleanse. Ginger is very cleansing. Mint is very cleansing. Lime is extremely cleansing as well. Okay. Now, when we have skulls in the egg cleansing, if you're able to see skulls, that indicates something. In a lot of people that are Mexican descent work with La Santa Muerte. So to me, when I see that, that automatically tells me that the person is currently being influenced because of spell work, and it usually indicates fighting against the Santa Muerte. So when you see stuff like that, when you see skull-like faces, or when you see faces of a person, really try to put energy, really take your time looking and studying the face, because that will indicate to you the person that is currently affecting your life. And if you take your time and don't get scared and don't rush into it and actually take your time, 9 times out of 10, you know exactly who it is, because they could be very, very clear when they're letting you know who's meddling currently in your life. Now, when we see animals in the cleansing, if you see anything that brings to you fear, that's an indicative of the type of work that has been done on you. Why do I say fear? Because the egg is going to communicate to you in a way that you would understand it, or that you would accept it as is. So when I say that, as an example, if when you see a rooster, like as an example, and you love roosters, then that indicates to you specifically, it's spirit talking to you or through you, and that's specifically letting you know that you are protected. For some of you guys, that could be your spirit animal. Now, when you see a chicken, as an example, and you automatically have this fear, or you feel this disconnect with that, and it's kind of like heart-wrenching, kind of like freaking you out, then that's letting you know that the spell work has been done on you, and they've used a chicken against you, or they use some type of, which usually in chaotic spell work, it would be like a chicken's foot. So that's just indicative of that. When we see flowers, or any type of like flower, like whether it's a rose, whether it's whatever it is that you see, it could be like in the form of a lily, in the form of carnations, whatever it is, that's indicative of you currently going or experiencing health restoration. So when I see that, it usually indicates to me a person that has been struggling health-wise, and it's just a sign, a good omen. It's a great omen actually to have, because it's indicative of the person will quickly, their health will be restored. All right, so let's get to some of your questions. Let's see. What does it mean when it looks like a cord attached to the egg in the ball, but connected to an egg on the side? Balls that you can be talking about. So I'm not sure if you got clarity on that. What does it mean when the egg white is cloudy and you can't see the yolk at all? So yeah, we've already talked about that. When you see the egg yolk being overly cooked, that just signifies that whatever blockages or whatever difficulties you had been experiencing, negative energy that is almost the feeling of feeling stuck, not being able to move forward, is indicative of it signifies that the egg was able to extract that energy from you. And you know what? When people experience, like when they see the egg yolk extremely cooked, I get a lot of people, I want to say like the majority of them, feel almost lightheaded at the end of the cleansing. And the reason for that is because they're no longer carrying that heaviness, that heavy energy. So there's almost a feeling of like I said, a mareo. They get a little bit dizzy. They feel like they can't, like they're just a little bit wobbly. And that just means that their aura field has been restored and there's no heaviness there. So that's why they it takes them a bit to have more clarity of mind. Since you came into my life and helped me, it's turned in. Yeah, those are angel numbers, sweetheart. So if we go from a 1 to a 5, that's indicative of progression in your spiritual realm. Each one has a different representation. So one's obviously is a representation of new beginnings, or preparing yourself because you're concluding some type of cycle and going into a new phase in your life, and vice versa. It just continues on that way. Hey, sweetheart, how are you? For a long time, I've been able to ask for something and get it most of the time, also knowing things without detail, but knowing someone's coming or something bad gonna happen, also feeling spirits. seeing them rarely. I've never considered anything to the man I was with for 13 years, 3 kids later, and left and married the girl he cheated on me with, which was alarming because he had never done that. And I was saying, scream something up. What does any of that mean? Thinks I'm nuts. No, that just means that you have a specific gift that you need to continue empowering. Again, we go back to that of listening to our intuitions. A lot of people take that as a general thing and they don't really put a lot of understanding or a lot of importance in it. But you guys need to understand that when it comes to intuition is your internal antenna. We are all creatures of energy, and energy is something that we, radiate on every day. And it's extremely powerful and it's extremely strong. So the internal antenna you have, a lot of the times on our conscious self, when we're conscious, a lot of the times we create, we have taboos, we are basically the cap of our own progress. So when I say that, to that, and based on how we were raised, based on our belief system, based off of, everything that has to do with our environment, we start to create those blockages in our lives. So the more you listen to your intuition, the more you're going back to who you really are, which is a spiritual being. And when we are fully embracing our spiritual side, you are connecting and aligning yourself to your intuition. Therefore, you are sending out a signal that is that of alignment. So it's easier for spirits to communicate with you, as an example, if you have those type of gifts. It's easier for your spirit guides to step in and for you to feel their presence or to know how to interpret. Sometimes when we tend to talk to ourselves, and when we talk to ourselves, it's almost like it's a conversation between you and spirit guides, whether you're aware of that or not. So a lot of the times it's kind of like, have you guys ever, as an example, have you guys ever gone to like a date or something, right? And you're trying to give that person a chance, but in your head, you're like, okay, this is not going to work out. That's your spirit. That's your spirit letting you know what you already know. But sometimes we're hardhead and we don't want to pay attention to that. So we ignore it. And then 6 months later, 5 days into crying for the person, you realize that person wasn't for you. So again, it's all about connecting ourselves and aligning ourselves to our truth. And when that happens, everything else becomes almost literally like magic. All right, so let's see. No, you're not crazy, sweetheart. It just means that you have a specific gift or don that you need to continue nurturing. What's the proper way to move the egg along the body? Excellent question, Yvette. And it's very important. I'm happy that you were able to ask that. So when it comes to cleansings, we have 13 specific focal points that we need to sweep in order for it to be a complete cleansing or a complete sweep. Now, before getting into that, when you start the cleansing, it's very important to start in your back. So for those of you guys that do the cleansing on yourself, you don't necessarily need to do it on your back. What you do it is you do it in your forehead. But ideally, if you're doing a cleansing for someone else, then you would start in their back. And the reason for that is because that's where you're opening up the portal of their aura. And what you're doing is before doing their cleansing, you need to have them say their first name, last name, and date of birth. And the reason for that is because they are acknowledging that you are going to or about to do a cleansing for them. Therefore, they are willingly opening themselves to be able to remove whatever energies they're carrying. So you start in their back. from the back, then you go to the forehead, then you go to the top of your head. So going into the focal points, what that you have to sweep is your head, the top of your head, which is your crown energy, your crown chakra. Give me 1 second. Let me turn off this candle. So it's the head, the top of your head, which is your crown chakra. From there, you're going to go to your forehead. That's where you do the cross or whatever symbol that symbolizes a blessing. And then you're going to go to the shoulder, the right shoulder, the left shoulder. So that is, the focal points are the top of the head, the two shoulders, the two sides of your abdomen, whether you're woman or male, it doesn't matter. The two knees and the two ankles. I forgot the shoulder, what do you call them? The elbows. So like I said, it's 13 focal points. That's where energy radiates from you. So it's the top of your head, the right shoulder, the left shoulder, the right and left side of your abdomen, your right and left knees and your ankles, as well as your elbows. And it's basically the joints. And the reason for that is because it's very important for you to sweep those specific areas before going all around the body. So you got to make sure that you do that first before starting to go to your heart chakra, to your root chakra, etc. And the reason for that is, again, like I said, because those are the focal points where energy radiates from you. And a lot of the times, especially if you're doing this for someone else, when you're doing the sweep and you're opening up those focal points, you will feel the egg, and sometimes the client is able to feel it as well. You'll be able to feel the egg move. There's nothing to be alarmed about that. What that means is basically that it's reacting to the sweep that you're doing. So nothing to be freaked out about that. Let's see. Sometimes I get this overwhelming feeling like something isn't right, or feels like something is wrong, something bad will happen, but nothing does. Why does this happen to me? Because you need to learn how to interpret the information that you're receiving, sweetheart. A lot of the times when on a spiritual level or on our subconscious, we tend to, especially when we're not that aware of energies, when we get, as an example, a lot of the times when people get chills, people get freaked out because they're like, oh my God, I just felt chills, and you get scared. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad spirit. It just means that either you walked into a space or a spirit perhaps passed you by, or you walked into a space where the shift of energy happened and you were able to acknowledge that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. So again, it has more to do with the feeling of it and what first comes to mind when you feel that way. The more you listen to your intuition, the more you'll be able to pick up on the messages that are coming through. What about the heart? I'm not sure what you're asking. What about it? So you guys don't have to comment later on, which I'm sure those that are not able to watch it right now will. But I hope this gives you guys more insight. Also, I wanted to mention when we see worms, or when we see like parasites at the bottom or on the sides, that usually indicates that there is excuse me, that there are significant issues in regards to their digestive system. So they're having digestive problems. It could be that they have trouble passing, or that they're not having that they are having difficulties So in that situation, I would encourage you guys to either go to a doctor or the person that you're doing it to, growing out of the egg. If you see them at the top or like floaty, or even the egg yolk being a little bit like halfway connected to the bean, that usually indicates it could be foretelling that the person is about to get pregnant, but it also indicates that there's a lot of complications either to that pregnancy. For others, it could just represent that the person experienced some type of miscarriage, and based on that miscarriage, it speaks about the person still currently going through it, or they haven't fully recovered on an emotional level on that or with that loss. Let's see. Hello, Melissa. The cleansing, you said it after all joints. What was that? The cleansing, I said it after all joints. I'm not sure about that question. So if you're going to do a cleansing, before you begin the cleansing, it's very important to open up the focal points I mentioned. So that's going to be I randomly feel tingles on my crown and tingles on the shoulder blades all the time. And idea what that means. Yeah. Are you currently going through a spiritual awakening? Are you trying to connect with spirit, or are you currently becoming more spiritually aware? Usually when we do meditations, when we change our lifestyle, or when we are trying very hard to open our third eye chakra or our crown chakra, we'll experience a lot of tingling. And it could be very like, it gets stronger before it actually opens up. So just a forewarning. You could be at work and you'll feel it like completely. It doesn't just stop at the tingling. It sometimes feels like it's literally shaking like up and down. And that's just an indication that you're about to open cleansing. No. So the heart cleansing or the heart chakra cleansing, all of those are done after you've opened your focal points, which are the 13 specific ones I gave, which is the crown, your shoulders, your right, left shoulder, your right and left elbows, your right and left side of your abdomen, your right and left side of your knees, and your right and left side of your ankles. Melissa. Hey, sweetheart. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You guys can watch this video afterwards once we're done with the live streaming. So that's fine. I'm not going to delete it. You're good. Is that what it is? I get these types of electric shocks going through my spinal cord. Now is your time to ask as many questions as you guys want. Because we are going into an hour and 18 minutes. I do have spell work that I need to begin. So let's see. I get these type of electric shocks going through my spinal cord. When you're doing a cleansing, I'm not sure what you mean by that. What is the worst egg cleansing you've done? Oh dear. I've had a lot of bad ones. I want to say it wasn't the worst, but I think it's the one I learned the most from, which was, I want to say about 7-8 years ago. I did a cleansing on a client that came to me. I believe they were coming from Washington or Colorado. I don't remember, but I remember that they were coming out here, and we had initially scheduled for a specific time and date. And it was like they were experiencing blockage after blockage. On their way over here, they got a flat tire. Before arriving to where I'm at, they had they almost crashed. It was just craziness. So off the bat, I knew like, okay, it's gonna get pretty heavy really quick. When we started doing the cleansing on her, she started panicking because she said that she's seen a shadow behind me, which I felt. And that's when we were talking initially in the beginning of the video, when spirits try to intimidate, when they try to overpower you. And initially when I do cleansings, I could pick up on all that energy really quick, but I tend to not express it to the client because I'm not trying to freak them out. I'm not trying to create fear. Ultimately, I know a lot of people have fears about the practice, about certain things. And so I try to be as understanding of my clients' needs. And I try the best I can to not, scare them or mention things that they really don't need to know. And when I was doing the cleansing, she had her eyes closed. When she opened them, I guess she seen a shadow behind me and she got extremely freaked out. She started crying. She started kind of shaking. So I literally had to sit her down and I told her, like, we began this. I need to finish it. If not, that spirit's going to continue following you. So she was okay with it. She said, let's do it. I kept doing the cleansing. And I want to say within like 15 minutes of doing the sweep on her, I started sweating very, very profusely. And the reason for that was because I was feeling the energy extremely heavy. And they started confronting me to the point where they knocked down some candles from my altar. Keep in mind, the client is freaking out. And I'm trying the best I can to calm her down as well as to, put my foot down. So I called on my spirit guide at that point in time. And I banished the spirit. I want to say it was about a good 5 minutes where I was trying to calm my client down. At the same time, I was trying to overpower the spirit. So that was I think I very rarely get scared, but that one time I did feel, I think, scared because I wasn't completely in control. I couldn't control my client from like crying and freaking out. So in situations like that, it could be a bit frustrating. I hope that answered your question. It wasn't really bad. I mean, I've had some bad experiences, but I think in that point, what was more upsetting to me was the fact that I had no control over how my client was feeling. I was trying to calm her down as well as make sure that I banished the fuck out of that spirit for her. So let's see. How's quarantine life? Oh, my sweetheart. How is it for you guys? I know New York is really feeling it. I've basically been indoors for about 2 weeks now. Just a couple of days, had to make a quick run for essentials, which completely failed. It's getting pretty crazy out here in California. Do you recommend doing this before April's full moon? The cleansing? Absolutely. Especially if you haven't done a cleansing for a while. Amber, of course, sweetheart. That's what I'm here for. Will cooking or frying pan the egg and throwing it on your roof make you go blind? I'm not sure if that's a real question. Just in general, I feel like my body is overwhelmed, and there are days when I feel these electric shocks. Spinal cord and body feels heavy. No. So if you've been experiencing that, that is just indicative of your nervous system, sweetheart. So it could be that you're extremely experiencing very heavy stress, anxiety. If that's the case, I would highly encourage you to lie down on the floor completely, light a white candle, ask your spirit guide to be present, to do some grounding and healing. Take about a good 20 deep breaths in and out of in through the nose, out through the mouth, and closing your eyes, envisioning a yellow cord or a gold cord coming out of your belly button, going down out of your spinal cord into the earth, and envision it basically anchoring while you're doing your breath exercise. I want to say do that for a good 15-20 minutes. You should feel extremely better. Even when you're sleeping or you're laying down, a lot of the times when our muscles start to like react in a certain way or move around, that usually indicates, like I said, a lot of stress, a lot of strain that you're currently experiencing. So that should help. My sisters-in-law told her that's how her grandmother went blind. Have you ever heard of that? No, I have not. Why would you? I'm not sure. I don't get that. Why would you cook a frying or fry an egg like after a cleansing? I don't get that. And why would you even throw it on your roof? That's just weird. I'm not sure what you mean by that, sweetheart. But no, I've never heard of that. Can you do a video on how to open your chakra or third eye? Yes, of course. I can work on a video for you guys. Yeah, that's a lot of stress, sweetheart. You need a lot of grounding. The only way it goes away until I isolate from people for a couple of days and ground myself. Yeah, especially if you're an empath, if you're very easy or it's very easy for you to carry other people's energies. A lot of the times it's very easy for you to know when someone is sad or they're going through something, even if they don't speak. And usually people that are, empaths or that are easy to read other people's energies have a difficulty because a lot of the times they're not even aware that they're carrying a lot of like other people's energies or stresses or worries. So again, I highly encourage the grounding. Melissa, it's concerning. Yeah, it is, sweetheart. I had done a video, I believe I think it was last week, that we talked about what's going on right now around the world. And it's crazy because a lot of what Spirit was talking about in that video is exactly what's happening and what's been unfolding. We got to just do our part and stay indoors to keep it from spreading, to protect ourselves and to protect our loved ones. Wendy, yeah, I kind of figured. I would highly encourage you to get some type of amethyst stone, whether it be in a necklace or whether it be on a ring. That's really helpful when it comes to transmutating energies, as well as to keep you anchored. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Funny thing about that video, I actually got an email from YouTube where they mentioned that they would advise for me to delete the video, which I found it very funny, which is why I was like, no, I think not. And yeah, it's very insightful. A lot of the messages that Spirit was saying, it's crazy. Why? Well, you need to understand that a lot of the powerful people or people that run the world basically are very connected and linked to the major corporate companies, etc. And the list goes on. So they try to keep people ignorant. They try to keep people away from knowing the truth, from, they just do whatever they have to do to keep us dumbed down. It's sad, but it's the truth. Absolutely, Martha. That's what I'm here for. So if you guys don't have any further questions, I'm going to take about 3 or 4 more questions. So you guys can ask whatever you want. before we have to part and say goodbye, for those of you guys that haven't watched or didn't watch the video in the beginning, you guys can always watch it or rewatch it, I should say, from the beginning, as I will keep it uploaded. Any other questions that you guys may have in regards to the egg readings? We have a lot of videos that are coming up. A lot of spell work that has been done for clients that are going to be going up. We upload in a chronological order. So we've been doing a lot of work. We've been very busy. So you guys should see a lot of spell videos going up. We also have a video going up of tarot readings, as well as a video that was highly requested. People want to know how to know when you're about to get married based on your birth chart. So I'm going to be teaching you guys about that as well. Thank you, Melissa. You know, I do all of this for you guys to keep you guys strong, protected. Can you make a video on protection bracelets? Yeah, I actually have a video of what to do to protect yourself when doing any type of spell work or to have as protection for yourself. You can watch that video. In regards to protection bracelets, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I go deeper into that on that video that was uploaded, like I said. So it just depends. If you mean, I always encourage my clients to have, you guys can go to my online store. We have all of these, well, these I've had for many years, but this one I actually have, I think are we sold out on these? Yeah, I think we recently sold out, but we will be restocking. These are magnetic beads, and at the center it has 3 tiger's eyes. Tiger's eyes are extremely powerful when it comes to protection and when it comes to negative energy. The Hasma hand as well, very good for protection, and the red thread. Red is a very intense color, very protective, and it makes us stronger, as well as encourages to strengthen our immune system. Thank you, love. Do you guys have any other questions? Use and abuse me at this moment. When a bracelet breaks, what does it mean? I had an onyx bracelet break. Well, it depends the type of bracelet you have. As an example, if you guys can see these, you guys throughout the years, I'm sure throughout the year, I'm sure you guys have seen these bracelets on me. I've had them for a good while now. I want to say about maybe 4 years, 5 years, something like that. Which is why they're all like big already. But anyways, I charge them obviously specifically for me, for my protection. And this one is of my saint. So you always see me with these. And it's happened where it's broken. I had another one. I'm sure you guys have seen in previous videos where I have 2 of these. And that one broke. And it broke. It's a representation of my saint. And there's nothing to be alarmed about that, because I know that I've had it for a very long time, for about 5-6 years. So obviously the wear and tear. But as an example, if you recently bought it and within like a week or 2 weeks, it completely breaks, and it breaks on an unexpected way. As an example, if you're out in public, if you're in a restaurant, it completely breaks, then that's letting you know that, especially if it's for protection, that's letting you know that someone's keeping an eye on you, or they are intending on doing some type of work against you. If, like I said, if it's broken because you wear and tear, then it just means you need to get another one. Love your sense of humor. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. I have a very dark sense of humor, you guys. You guys have no idea. Okay, let's see. That happened with my onyx bracelet. They break and I let them go and buy new ones. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Just make sure you're always protected. Never. It was Tiffany black onyx bracelet that I had for years. Yeah, so that's what I mean. A lot of the times, it just means the wear and tear. We gotta protect ourselves. They serve their purpose. Exactly. Thank you. Yes, awakening. Any recommendations on guidance? So many overwhelming changes. It's rare to stay. For sure. Blessings to you and your beautiful energy. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, sweetheart. Recommendation on guidance? On guidance of what, sweetheart? When using ground eggshells, does shell color have a different blue or green be used for added power, like color magic, or is it all the same? When using ground egg shells, ground egg shells, does the shell color have a different uses? It depends. If you're trying to use it for spell work, then yes, it does have different uses. If it's for cleansing, it does not matter. Also, talking about the shells, I wanted to, good thing she brought that up. The eggshells, a lot of people don't really pay attention to it when doing a cleansing, and it's very important. Why? Because if you can see here, you know that skin that sticks to the egg shell? It's like a skin-like type of thing. Not sure if you can see it better with this one. It's like a skin that's stuck there. Anyways, when you see that when doing a cleansing, that indicates that the client or the person is currently being their what is it called? Their body and their spiritual are not greatly affected. So as you can see, this one, was it this one? Yeah, I think it was this one. Not sure. That one has the shell, the skin. And this one, as you guys can see here, the egg separation, that's a person that's currently, well, I know that they're personally going through a spiritual transformation. But if the skin is not in the egg or is disconnected, there was another, I'm not sure which one it was. I think it was this one that was disconnected, but I put it back so you guys can, so I can show you guys. Can't really see it, but anyways, when it's disconnected, the little skin, that indicates that the client currently is experiencing, like we had mentioned here, when they have a lot of cloudness, it indicates itis. So it indicates people that are around you that are not good for you. People that are, like I said, frenemies, people that talk a lot of like backstabbing type of energy and stuff like that. And it's throwing off their aura. So their aura is greatly being affected. And that's what that represents. I hope that makes sense. All right, my lovelies, any more questions? Looks like we need to do some spell work. Uh-oh. Yeah, you know, I don't stop. I love you. You do have the dark sense of humor. Oh, I have an extremely dark sense of humor, you guys. I know I get a lot of my clients often always tell me that I seem very serious in my videos, which is I take my craft very serious, and I think that maybe that's the reason why I come off as like a very very serious, but I am I am the biggest jokester, and I do have a very dark sense of humor. I tend to push people's buttons the most I can, anyways. I like to make people feel very uncomfortable. I get a kick out of it. So do I, in a very sarcastic way. Absolutely. It is a Capricorn thing. Absolutely. I use shells in spell work, but wondered about colors. Yeah, so when it comes to spell work, like I said, yeah, it does have, they all have different meanings. As an example, I never use brown eggshells for protective spell work. I only use white. The brown is very, very good when it comes to any type of fertility spells. People that are having issues or difficulties with getting pregnant or having kids, stuff like that. So yeah. Absolutely, sweetheart. You already know me, Melissa. Also used your karma spell, and wow, it works so quick and strong. Thank you for sharing with us. Absolutely, sweetheart. Yeah, all the spell works that I upload will give you 100% guaranteed effects, but you need to, first of all, really be careful how you're going into when doing spell work. Your energy, it has a lot to do with that, as well as focus. A lot of the times, people, tend to rush into doing spell work, or they're very anxious and they're not necessarily focused because they're more nervous more than anything. So of course you're going to get, weird results because you're going into it with that energy. All right, my lovelies. All right, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this streaming. We're going to do more live streams to take questions, to get more feedback from you guys. All of that. We have a lot of things coming. I will also be announcing some projects that we're currently working on. For those of you guys that are wanting to learn more about the practice, and we'll talk more about that later on. I hope all of you guys are doing everything you possibly can to stay in, not for anyone else, but for yourselves and for your family members. I hope that as a collective, we are all sending healing energy and loving energy to each and every single one of you guys. We'll get through this, you guys. We have gone through major transformations throughout our life. If you guys look at our videos that we uploaded in January, with the Saturn conjunction, the royal marriage of Saturn and Jupiter. It's crazy because a lot of the times when spirit communicates messages, we tend to pay attention to what's happening now. But they kind of forewarned us of everything that's happening. And a couple of my clients mentioned that about the January readings. And I had to go back and actually pay attention. And I was like, wow, it really does. It's crazy. A lot of transformations that are happening. It's just, again, like I said, I truly hope that all of you guys are doing your part and staying quarantined, keeping yourself busy. And we'll get through this. We always have, and we always will. All right, my lovelies, it was a pleasure doing this video for you guys. I hope you guys learned a lot or got some type of more knowledge. Like I said, you guys stay tuned. We're going to be uploading tons of new videos coming up, as well as doing more live streams more often for you guys. All right. So you guys be safe. I love you guys. And Wendy, I absolutely know that, sweetheart. Yeah, I have a lot of clients that are in the medical field, and it's just, we thank you guys. We truly do. We are so blessed to have you guys, and I hope you're staying safe, doing everything you possibly can to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. I love you guys so very much, and we'll stay. You guys take care, and we'll see each other soon. All righty? I hope you guys have a good one. Bye.